Alright, so this is what I got. So, got a third person character. And we have some blueprints. We have a danger area with power ups, and then a blueprint uh, interaction. So, this power up has a child class, which is this one. And that's the only one that I have in the map. This is the danger area, so if I fall in here, then I die. It's my prototype level. It's not really much, but it's something to start. I simulate this. You can see I can look at the level. You see how the power up does a simulation of a bob going up and down. It's on a timeline. All right. So now I'm going to show you that those work, and then we'll go into the coding part. Yeah. So a little bit janky at the moment with that. So as you can see, I have a nice little camera lag, so the player can float in the air with no problem. The power up disappears. You can see the speed boost works for a couple seconds. Then I go back to normal speed. So that is a speed boost. And then I can make the jump. I mean, that's as far as this goes right now. But if I fall down in this right here, I reset. So it's automatic death if you fall in the pit. And it's different reactions each time because it's physics. And even if I don't interact, so it's something. Whoop, boom. Oh, so there's different ways to die. The physics are different each time, but definitely a lot of fun. But it's very basic for the moment. And even that part, like obviously if I'm running too fast, then obviously that can happen. And I can't get back up there if I get too far. So, yeah. All right. So there's that. So shows all the things in action so far. The character that we have, which is the third person, and then the different things. This BPI pretty much is like a communicator telling the player to do certain things. So when we come in here, first we had to fix the movement because it started out as third person. We on the move, we made forward and backwards, switched the Y from this one and moved it to the X, and then took the other one out. And then we adjusted the cameras, which come over here. You see the cameras on this side instead of over behind the player on this side. All right, and then whenever we do the death on event any damage, we simulate the physics of the body to die. We make it where the player can't move, and then after a certain amount of time, then the player responds again in the map. Later, if we make more than one level, we're gonna have to adjust this to be whichever level the player opens. All right, this blueprint interface. So this is what I was talking about, the BPI, this thing. It's an event that I set up specifically for this gosh, specifically for this um power up. So call this event on the player, and we had to make a couple variables if the player does not. So basically, you can say that has a power up and make it, the condition, but if the player does not have the power up, or I could even have the has power up and then click it false, but the not boolean is just easier. So if the player does not have the power up, if that is true, we have the regular walk speed for the player. But if the player has a power up, so say the player picks up the power up, their speed temporarily increases. Um, and we have that set up through this over here from this event. And then after a certain amount of time, then the power up loses its ability. So you turn this having power up off because no longer is active, and then we reset the default speed. So um, let's go back into the map so I can show you that it actually works. I mean, I'm sure you saw it, but we can show you again. All right, you can see I'm at regular speed right now. I'm not going super fast. Pick this up, going super fast, right? And then after a certain amount of time, it wears off. As you can see, I'm going back to normal speed again. I'm not going super fast. And I'm not shooting across this thing. So, all right. So, and that was that 5-second delay. But that's as far as it's gotten so far. And so we have a power up. So this power up here, the master class power up, I can make child classes of this. I have a speed boost currently, but I can make more power ups if I want to do different things. But the main power up is basically like a starter class. I basically do the same thing, and then in the child class, I make my adjustments for each um, particular thing, double jump or double damage or whatever the case is, double health, something. Then each of those child classes on the power up, then I would just make the adjustments inside. So to show you on that real quick, on each of these power ups, there's nothing really in here because on begin play, this is the only thing that we have. The only thing we really have is we have the mesh or whatever the mesh of the power up is. The collider is the player interacting with said item, and then the rotating movement. You saw that it rotated, goes up and down and rotates. So let's look at that again. So if I hit simulate on this, you can see that it does this rotation here. Without the rotating movement, it wouldn't do that. And then the up and down part, that is the timeline moving it up and down. All right. So with that, how this works on the power up, on the main master class, on begin play, it plays a timeline, uh, and we have our bobbing up and down, going at a second each time, going back and forth. So it starts by playing, it updates, set the relative location, and then a starting point and an ending point on the location, which you set from here, a second between each, right? And then the flip flop, what that does is on A, it brings it back to reverse, so then that way it goes the other direction. And B, it'll go back to play because if you do not have this flip flop node, uh, then it will not play properly. So basically, you had to plug that into restart pretty much. So it just goes back and forth. And that's on the masterclass power up. Now, and so that way, any power up that I'm doing does the same thing. Now, I duplicated that into this child class. As you can see, I didn't really adjust much in here yet. I haven't really adjusted a few things, but has all the same properties as the original Masterclass. But then on this collider, so how I had that set up, the other actor, so basically I had to, on the class defaults, I had to make the player have an interactive. So um, as you saw this here, so we have the player has the tag, and then we have the implement interface, which is again that speed boost. And initial condition is if the player has this tag, and if that's true, then we got to implement that interface. And then if that's true, we implement the speed boost power up. And then this is where it gets its speed from, because you saw I went super fast when I picked up that item. And here, destroying the actor is where the actor in the scene disappears and the player picks it up. So even though I don't have my comments on these yet, eventually I'll add my comments to them. So so far it's coming together, but it's not quite where we want it yet. But I mean, it's a start. So I hope that was a nice detailed breakdown so that you guys can understand how that worked. But look forward to getting some updates out. See you guys on the next one.